to walk through how to use Zing Data to query, visualize, and collaborate around your data sets. And we're going to connect Zing to cube.dev. We're going to use Cube as a mechanism to connect to underlying databases, and if we want, transform that data so that it's more easily usable. First, we'll sign into Cube with the account that we already have. From here, I can see that I already have a couple deployments set up, but for the sake of walking through it, we'll create a new deployment. We'll call it test deployment 3. And we'll put it in the US West Coast and have it run on AWS. We're going to create a new repository. We'll add a data source. Now, I have an existing database that I'd like to connect to, and it's a Postgres database. I'm going to go pull those credentials and copy and paste them into Cube. I hit apply. Cube will connect to my database and ask me what tables I want to include. In this case, I'm just going to include my 2 public tables, beer and brewery. And then I'll generate a data schema. I've now added my database to Cube, and if I'd like, I could do other aggregations or connect to other data sources. As my Cube deployment is spinning up, I'll go log into Zing Data. Since I already have an account, I'll click sign in here. And from here, I'm going to want to add a data source. I'll go back over to Cube to get my credentials. In Cube, I see that there's the SQL API option, which is in beta. But I need to hit deploy SQL API in order to activate that. So I'm going to click deploy SQL API. And Cube tells me that the deployment was started, and it might take a minute. As it's doing that though, I can start copying over my credentials. I view my credentials by clicking how to connect your BI tool right here. I'm going to copy the host name and go over to Zing. Now, Cube tells me that it's creating a MySQL type database. We can see that here. So when I'm configuring this in Zing, I'm going to say my data source is MySQL and click setup there. I'll drop in my host name, copy over the port, I'll copy over the database name, my username, and finally my password. From here, I just click check connection. Zing will connect to Cube and show me the tables that are part of my Cube account in that deployment. If I'd like, I could decide to only connect certain tables to Zing Data and turn off tables that I don't want. But in this case, I want all my tables, so I'm going to select include all and have that turned off. I now hit save, and this data source will be saved with Zing Data. If I wanted to modify it, I could hit edit. If I needed to delete it, I could hit delete. I could also add other data sources here. They'll get added to the list of tables that I have access to in Zing. If I'd like, I could also invite colleagues by clicking invitations and typing in their email address. This will give them access to the data sources which I've added to Zing. I hit invite and they'll get an email. Now I want to start querying the data source that I just added. So I'm going to click Zing app. That will open the web version of the Zing Data app. I could also access that from my mobile phone by opening the Zing app on my phone. Zing's mobile app is available on the Android Play Store and on the Apple App Store for free. So now I see the two tables, beer and brewery. I'm going to click beer. And I'd actually like to get the number of beers, so the count of beer names, basically, produced by each brewery. I'm going to group by brewery. This should give me the number of beers produced by each brewery. And then I'm going to click Next in the lower right-hand corner. Zing Data will connect to my Cube database and run that query. Here are my results. Now, I see here that this is not necessarily ordered in the way I would expect. So in order to change that, I can just click the x-axis, and Zing will give me the option to sort. So I'm going to sort based on the y-axis value from high to low. And here I can see that brewery Haiga has produced 44 beers that are in my data set. If I'd like, I can view this data in a different way. I could view it as a data table, where I can sort by measure. I could view it as a horizontal bar chart. I could even zoom in if I'm using the mobile app. And now I can even mention to my colleagues, using the chat below, to pull them into the conversation. They'll get a push notification or email linking them to this question. If I'd like, I can share this with a colleague. By putting them in the To field and then hitting Next. And that will share this question and access to the data source with them. If I'd like, I can save an image of this, or I can save the data table to my phone or computer. I can also modify the name of the question and say production of various beers by brewery. Once I save that question, I can go back to my home screen and see that it now shows up under my questions list. Hopefully this gives you a sense of how you can use Cube as your data connection layer with Zing Data as your data visualization, querying, and collaboration layer. You can download Zing for free on iOS and Android, and you can also use it on the web at getzingdata.com, and you can access Cube by going to cube.dev. Both Zing and Cube have great free plans to be able to start playing around with data and work well together. If you have any questions, you can email us help@getzingdata.com, and all this information is in the description below.